Bonjour, everybody. French Lit here. And today we have an interview with the Dr. Jessica Nicolas. And we love to call her Jess. And Jess joined the French Lit team. We started the conversation a few months ago, and she'll tell you more about that. But let's jump right into it. Jess is going to be responsible for the French Lit podcast. But Jess, tell us first, who are you? Where are you from? And we are just so lucky to have you. Go for it.
I'm so happy to be with you guys. So I'm Jessica Nicholas, and I am originally from the Seattle area. And about 11 years ago, a little less than 11 years ago, I moved across the country from Seattle to Central Illinois, where I got my PhD in French linguistics. And now I teach high school French and Spanish. And I love the French language, and I love learning about French and teaching about French and talking about French and traveling in places that speak French and helping people in French. And
I feel like there are definitely more French than some French people I have met. I think you are definitely more French than American or Frenchy. I don't know how to say. Definitely, and I am not a Frenchie, and so this is which is one of the things I look for when we're hiring. Is like, I need someone who loves everything French, and not just French France. You are like worldwide. You have such a huge world view and mindset on Francophonie. What can you say about that?
Oh man. Okay, so my some of my doctoral research was in Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, Quebec, which is about 2 hours north of Quebec City, and it's more of a rural area. And that is where I met Toya at a conference.
I'm gonna post those photos. I'm gonna find them. I had red hair.
Yes. But we're being silly, eating ice cream and stuff.
Yes. I love it. I love ice cream. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
And I've also had the opportunity to teach I did research in Paris. I've taught in the south of France and Arles, which is my favorite place in the whole world. And for the last more than a decade, I've been translating official documents between French and English, mainly I think the majority of the people I translate for are from the Democratic Republic of Congo, but from all sorts of places in the French-speaking world. And I also speak a little bit of Wolof, which is a West African language spoken in Gambia. Yeah. Yeah. It's
those
quite rusty.
Wolofos are my people. I love them. Yeah.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I love about the French language is because French colonialism touched so many parts of the world, which is not a great thing.
I always say a lot. I'm like, for better or for worse. Yeah. French gives us access to a lot of groups. Absolutely.
Exactly. And it's a lingua franca in a lot of parts of the world. And I also speak Spanish, and so between the two of them, I can talk to a lot of people, which I love being able to do. Yeah. So I'm delighted to be able to be here with French Lit and talking about French.
Yay, we're so excited to have you. Jess is going to be doing the French Lit podcast, which after some interesting conversations, mostly by text, we came up with the title. So the podcast is called, Jess?
Bonjour, everybody.
Bonjour, everybody. I always say it with that intonation, bonjour, everybody. Absolutely. I think that now we passed through like a number of versions, iterations.
It was a process.
Now, do you remember, what does the title have to do with, in the title itself? The title already is bilingual. I love that. Mm-hmm. And it already, mixing it up. Like, what is that? What are you going to bring to this podcast? What should listeners expect?
So the podcast, the title, as when we discussed, we came up with it as being bilingual, and that it is going to it'll be partly in French, partly in English, mainly intended for people who are learning French. And so there will be something in it for everybody. So if you are just starting out with French, you can listen and pay more attention to the English parts. And if you want to practice your French, you can listen to especially episodes that are mainly in French.
Jess, can I stop you just 1 second? Excuse me for interrupting you. I also went in conversation with also some friends and family who are francophone, and a lot of them actually really want to get on the podcast too and be able to listen to also improve English, which is interesting. So being able to hear conversation that is also going, because that is, as you've spent a lot of time with immigrant families, and many times there's not one language going around. Sometimes there's 1, 2, or 3 in one house in one sentence. And so I think I'm excited about the possibility of having it come from both sides, both francophones who are, you know, navigating English, and then Anglophones who are also navigating French. I think that would be so cool to see, if not so sorry, but I just wanted to put that in there because something that actually came up in conversation in the last 4 days.
Awesome. Another thing that I thought about doing is maybe having in episode descriptions like a description of like what level of French or English it might be, since I'm familiar with the actual proficiency levels. Be like, well, this one is talking mostly about, you know, sustained conversation in the past. So maybe if you're looking at more advanced, you might work on that, versus if it's in mostly in English with a few French words, it might be for novice or something.
So for people that don't understand French teacher and language teacher talk in the United States of America, when she says octopel, it's like, what is that? What can you explain really quickly what that is?
So actual is the American Council for, I remember it's for the teaching of foreign languages, and it is the body in the United States that comes up with what the standards are, basically, and they have lots of wonderful resources and descriptions of what it means to be a speaker of another language at certain levels.
And that's awesome. And that will be our part, that will be our work. And we hope that in doing this, people can enjoy and learn. There's so much, I'm expecting a lot of experience. We're going to hear from your world and the rich interactions that you have, and anybody can come from whatever level and see, you know, if it's something that works for them. And I think as we move, we'll be able to continue to identify ourselves, even as, you know, the identity will be shaped, I think, by the doing. And so
I agree for sure. And I was thinking that, you know, especially this summer when I start out, I have a bunch of episode ideas, but because my interest and degree is in French linguistics, a lot of the initial ones will probably be, there will be some interviews with people about their experiences with French language and what it means to them. And for some people it might be more positive, and some people it might be more fraught. And then also I want to talk, at least at the beginning, about some of the history of French. Like, how did French end up in so many different places? What are the different kinds of French like? Who decides what counts as standard French?
There you go.
That kind of thing.
Controversy right there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hot topics.
I love that. Oh, you got to have a hot topics. You're gonna have to be our like French list Wendy Williams. No, okay. That's okay. You don't have to be. What would be like? Now, just for a bit of information, we're gonna start off by hosting the podcast will be hosted on SoundCloud, and we're gonna get that information out, and then that'll be exciting. How about the length? How long will it be? How often? How frequent? Anything else you want to add, or any last words?
We're intending at this time for it to be about a half hour long once a week for the first few months, and then see how it goes. That's the aim. And if people
you feel inspired to do more, by all means, you know.
Okay, it's hard to shut me up. So if anyone may end up going longer than that, but I'll try to cut out things that are boring.
No, I say more is more. More is more. Jessica, thank you so much for just being on here with you, introducing yourself to the world. I am so thrilled to have you. We've been in conversation about this for like more than half a year, more than 6 months, but it's this May. like November, October or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So like, I really need like a personality, and as you'll get to know more about my first impression of you when I first met you. It was 2016, like you said, in Quebec. And yes, and I remember, do you want to know what my first thought?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Swear to God, I said to myself, this girl is never going to grow old. That was my first thought, is the amount of energy and enthusiasm you had for like, I think at that time you were, if I remember correctly, I think you were a bit more Spanish, or you were just transitioning into taking your Spanish into French, or you were, I think it was before your PhD, and you were just like,
my PhD research at that time.
You were just at the beginning of it. And what I remember was like, anything we saw, like you pointed out and you were just really excited, and I'm like, I remember that just stuck with me. I'm like, she will never grow old, because everything, you're curious and you're excited and you love what you do, and you're a learner and you're a teacher. And I was like, oh my God, this is so like, so literally 6 years later, I was like, who has that energy to do that language and for learning? So we are so excited to have you, really, honestly, from the bottom of my heart. Even though we are recording this, do know that I already love you, and we're so excited to have you at French Lit.
It'll be great.
Absolutely. Okay, everybody. So definitely join Jess on SoundCloud for Bonjour, everybody. And we will give you details about when and where. And that will all be posted very shortly. And we're looking to start, let's say, I believe it's mid-June or end of June, we'll get that going. So, au revoir tout le monde. Bye-bye.